is Rachel Barrich. I've held many different roles at the synagogue. For tonight, I guess I'm just your Shabbat service leader. Here, of course, with Blake Singer. We're very happy to have him for tonight. And we have a guest doing our Devar Torah this evening, Max Ruth, who is a former Kefti president and very involved in Kefti. We're very glad to have him visiting for the summer, and he will be imparting some words of wisdom a little bit later. But as we begin, I was looking at the Torah portion. This week we are in Hukat, in the book of Numbers, and one of the most famous stories that happens in this book is it's the story of Moses and the rock. And the people are clamoring for water, and God tells him to speak to the rock, and instead of speaking to the rock, he hits the rock. Water comes out, the people are sated, but Moses, who has been doing all this work this whole time, is punished for that one act by not being able to go into the promised land. So what stuck in my head for the week, isn't such a nice, no good deed goes unpunished, which is what stuck in my head. And then I'm thinking about, and that does seem to be kind of true for the world around us right now. So I looked through the Torah, as I do, and I found some words. Jill Hammer wrote in the Torah, A Woman's Commentary, and this is poetry that accompanies each of our portions. The Torah is a door to the deep. I know this stone. Its hidden textures hold water for my people. If I stroke it, caress, it gives forth its liquid gifts. But the squeezing of it is hard, and I tire, while all the people around me cry, water, water. The squeezing of that stone is hard. Looking around today, we cannot help but wonder, why bother? No good deed goes unpunished. I thought about Moses, a man who had nearly single-handedly pulled a group of ungrateful, thoughtless, and demanding people out of slavery and led them around the desert for 40 years, only to lose his temper one time after all that and be denied entry into the promised land. I thought of all those who have spent years advocating, talking, lobbying, marching for women's rights, civil rights, gun protection, gay rights, only to watch the news come out of Washington, D.C. and nearly every other corner of our country and see that those hard-fought rights can also be taken away. I thought of each of us here, surrounded by virus, war, gunshots, wondering, and it all seems to lead to why bother. But it's Shabbat. For now we are together for a few minutes of song, a few minutes of prayer. So let us take that idea of why bother and leave it outside as we tonight gather for Shabbat. We'll be on page 10, reading Maya Fehayom, how beautiful is the day. So even amongst all of what is outside, we still recognize and have joy in Shabbat.
Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
And as we welcome Shabbat into our midst, I'd like to invite Melissa Ruth to light our Shabbat candles. You can find the blessing on page
2.
two.
Hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say, Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say, Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And with Shabbat welcomed into our midst, we have another song of welcoming on page 20, L'cha Dodi. And this is a song written coming in out of 16th century Sfat in Israel, or in what is now Israel. At that time, of course, it wasn't. But it's about an image of God and the people as bride and bridegroom, and of the villagers going out into the hills and watching as the sun goes down and welcoming the bride.
L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor b'sachor b'dibor echad, tishmi anu elcham echad, Adonai echad shemo echad, b'shem el tiferet b'li yitila. L'cha dodi nikrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lekuven elcha, michi mikor kaberaka, mirosh mikedem nisuka, so machaseh b'machavat techilah. L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Itoreri, Kiva Achore Kumi Uri, Shidaberi, Kivod Adonai, and Alek Digla, L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Please rise and face the doors as we welcome the Shabbat bride, the Kala.
Ovi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, tam v'simcha v'tokola, toch emudei am segula. Ovi kala, L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'cha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
Now, I always can tell those of you who've been coming to TKE a while and those of you who are relatively new, because under Rabbi Lebo, we always sat for the last L'cha Dodi, and Rabbi Service has us stay standing. So you're welcome to do either one, but you do need to be on your feet right now. for the Reader's Kaddish on page 26.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah B'alma divrach hirutei B'amlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yochomechon U'chayedecho beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uv'izman kahariv V'meru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach Le'olam ol me'almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Kedusha b'richu Le'olamim kol berchata v'shirata Tushvechata v'nechemata Dahaminran v'alma v'meru Amen.
We turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, the statement that we are ready to pray.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai.
We now turn to page 34 for the Shema, which is the centerpiece, the statement of monotheism, sort of the aha moment for what that early Judaism, what the Israelites brought to the ancient Near East, the idea of the unity of God. And the Shema is actually a series of prayers. The Shema itself, this one line, is the middle prayer, and then we will segue directly into the prayer afterwards, which is on page 36, the Thou Shalt Love.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod, Shem Kivod, Mahuto Leolam, Leolam Vahed.
You may be seated. Sing along at the bottom of 36.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart. Thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, when thou risest up, when thou risest up. Thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. Thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gate, and upon thy gates, that ye shall remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
I want to take this opportunity to do a little bit of teaching. My apologies for that. What we just sang, if you've ever kind of looked at it, and it goes on your gates, and then there's this white space, and then thus shall you remember. Well, there's kind of a reason for that white space, which is that the editors of our prayer book left out an entire paragraph, which is part of the Shema. I don't know why they did, but I thought I might share that paragraph with you. It sort of speaks a bit to what we're talking about today. Maybe they left it off because a lot of it is involved with the land. So we've read all the different ways in which we are to show God our love. We write them we teach our children, we put them in the mezuzah. If you're more traditional, you wear them as tefillin on your forehead and on your shoulder or on your arm. But there's this other idea. At one time, we were an agricultural community. We were embedded in the land. And so I thought I would read this up. Not an exact translation, but a sort of maybe a modernized translation of the paragraph that we don't read, and maybe get some ideas about why we might have been left off and a bit of discomfort with it. So it starts out by Haya im Shemoa Tishma'u, and if you listen closely. So imagine this coming right after gates. So you just read doorposts on your gates, and then there's this. And if you listen closely to the meaning behind the words in your tradition, you will love the source of life and give yourself over completely, heart and soul, to serve life itself. Imagine a world with the rains and snows coming when they are due, where everyone can plant and harvest the abundance of the earth, where animals and wildlife have enough to nourish themselves, and you too can eat and be satiated. Watch yourselves, though, from following other ways, paths of greed and entitlement, stripping the land of its soil, warming the oceans, causing hurricanes and floods, droughts and fires, such that the heavens are stopped up and the earth becomes a wasteland, and you yourselves have lost your way and forfeited the goodness of the earth that God gave you. So put these words on your tongue and in your hearts, and keep them close, like a sign upon your arms and between your eyes, teaching them to the next generation to abide by them at home and away, day and night. Let these teachings be a watchword for your homes and gates and cities, that you may live long on this planet for all the days of heaven and earth. So the difficulty that I have with this piece, of course, it's the pro and the con, the carrot and the stick, if you will. But kind of in the Shema, it gives us not just instruction about what to do, but it teaches us maybe why to do those things. And maybe we don't like exactly that the land has become a wasteland, but it does remind us that this guidepost, the Torah, gives us some meaning and structure and purpose. And if we study it and do what it asks, questioning, of course, because we're Jews, but also, sort of questioning it, modifying it, changing it, but it still gives us that guidepost and helps us to move ourselves in a more positive direction. So I thought I would share that tonight. And as we move to page 40, the Micha Mocha, this is some of the oldest words in the Torah. This is, of course, the statement of redemption. So in the Shema, we saw statements of obligation, but also covenant, if you will. Now this is the redemption. This is the celebration of coming out of Egypt and getting across the sea and becoming God's people.
Do you have Miriam's song?
I don't have Miriam's song. You could do it. You're welcome to do Miriam's song.
Yeah, we're going to do Miriam's
Okay,
song.
we're
It's
going
like
to do Miriam's song. Let me find the page. Do you have the page?
I'm going to guess it's like 260.
So Miriam's song, even better, is a modernized, it's a Debbie Friedman version of the Micha Mocha prayer. Can someone find the page?
Here, I'll find it for you.
What page?
342. 342.
342. Thank you very much. So, I'll give a different introduction. See that third panel over there? 1, 2, 3. The panel over there with the women in pink and their tambourines. So what you have here, the Micha Mocha is a very long, it's many sentences, 10 or 20 sentences, but at the very end of the Micha Mocha, what we call the Song of the Sea, there's a statement. And Miriam took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her. And there's a midrash, a story. There's a story about they're leaving Egypt. And from what we understand, they're leaving Egypt in a hurry, right? Matzah, the whole Passover thing, like that's why we have to eat that cracker for 7 days. Tambourines, why do they have tambourines with them? That's not a useful tool in the desert, and that's considered to be one of Miriam's miracles, one of her gifts to the people to recognize that there would be purpose and need for celebration. So she was prepared, and so we sing Miriam's song.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song, the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance all night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was wondrous, sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit as she danced towards a light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song, the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance all night long. When Miriam stood upon the shore and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song, the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance all night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song, the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women dance and dance all night long. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha ne'edah b'kodesh, Torah tehilot o seifele, Torah tehilot o seifele.
about peace and asking God to spread a sukkah, a sort of shelter of peace over us as we sleep, so that we can gain assurance that as we wake in the morning, we, our family, our friends, our communities will be at peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom, L'Shalom, Ye'amidenu Shomrenu L'Chaim. Uvros Aleinu Sukkot Shelomecha, Uvros Aleinu Sukkot Shelomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Now we turn to the centerpiece of Jewish liturgy, the Amidah, the standing prayer, the Tefillah. It has many names. It's a series of blessings, asking God for things and offering God our thanks and our prayers. So here at Temple Kol Emeth, we'll rise in just a moment. We'll begin on page 46. We chant 46, and then on to 48, and then on to 50, all as one. So feel free to sing along if you know, or follow along as we rise for the Tefillah.
Adonai Sifatai Tivtahu Fi Agitechilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avoteinu v'imoteinu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzhak, v'Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel, Elokei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Chanorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Hastei Avot V'Imechot, U'Mevig Ula Lifnei V'Nechem, L'man Shemo B'Yakava, Melech Otzer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atarav L'Choshia Marid Hatal, Mechalkel Hayim Behesed, Mechayeh HaKol B'Rakamim Rabim, Zo'omef Noflim V'Rovei Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Mikamocha Ba'agavurot, Umido Mehelach, Melech Meimit Umekayim, Umatz Me'ak Yeshua, V'ne'emanatav l'kayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh hakol.
You may be seated. We're on page 52,
Atah kadosh, V'shimcha kadosh, U'koshim b'chol yom, Yehallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh, you are holy, and your name is holy. Those who strive to be holy, declare your glory day by day. Blessed is our God, blessed is the one, O world ablaze with splendor. Atah kadosh, V'shimcha kadosh, U'koshim b'chol yom, Yehallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Before we go into a few moments of silent meditation or silent prayer, I want to go back to where I started. No good deed goes unpunished. And I want to change it a little bit. Here we are halfway through our service. We've come together as a community, done some beautiful singing. How about we change that to good deeds often go unfinished? So by that I mean Moses had an incredible impact, even down to today. It's kind of like that pebble that you drop in the pond. It ripples out, and you don't necessarily see or know or benefit from the impact of that good deed. And so that's why I would say, yes, we have to bother. It's not a yes. So it's more that our ancestors didn't do what they did for their own benefit. And we and activists and everybody who's involved, past, present, and in the future, don't necessarily do what they do for their own benefit. We each have to continue to recognize that the good deeds are necessary, but they're unfinished, and take up that work and do what each of us can within our own small world to make that ripple go even farther. So now take that thought or look at any of the prayers in the prayer book as we move through the rest of the Amidah, and take a few moments for your own thoughts and your own prayers. Say Shalom, page 62.
Say shalom, bimrama, huya say shalom. Say shalom, bimrama, huya say shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. the one who makes peace in high places. May the one who makes peace in high places, send peace to us and to all Israel, and let us say amen. Send peace to us and to all Israel, and let us say amen. So say shalom.
Now, some of you may think you know Oseh Shalom, but only if you're a part of TKE do you get to know that Oseh Shalom. So thank you very much to Blake for writing that for our community and sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
So generally we don't ask God for much on Shabbat. We take a rest, we give God a rest as well, except for one thing. And on page 253, we're going to now look at a prayer for healing, because those sorts of things, those sorts of requests do not take a break, do not take a rest. And this week, we offer prayers of healing in our community for Adrian Shapiro, Al Justine, Alan Silverman, Arthur Newman, Asha Patel, Athena Pickett, Barry Rosenblatt, Blake Hull, Bob Luciano, Bruce Cohen, Dr. Bruce Fox, Carol Silver, Cheryl Warren, Cindy Dupree, Cindy Levine, Claire Dvoskin, David Strauss, Debbie Rowan, Debbie Singerman, Dee Singer, Dennis Baser, Diane Leroy, Donald Schaefer, Elaine Bridges, Ellen Jarrett, Ellen Luster, Elliot Kirshner, Aaron Hess Fisher, Esther Greenwald, Ayal Ben Audrey, Helene Holtzman, Gordon Goldsmith, Grace Miner, Gloria Goldsmith, Greg Mosher, Isidore Cohen, Jack Wayman, Janet Brooks, Jerry Barrett, Jessica Berkeley, Jill Shepard, Joan Niga, Joe Marks, Joyce Newman, Judith Siegel, Judy Weiss, Kathleen Furch, Kathy Rasnick, Laura Jacoby, Lauren Friedman, Lee Sexton, Layla Kaminer, Linda Jenkins, Lisa Macklin, Lisa Oppenheim, Lisa Prince Rutsky, Liz Lyman, Lori Sherman, Lowell Morrow, Marilyn Krasnov, Mark Fisher, Max Gans, Mark Warren, Marlene Kaplan, Dr. Mary Watkins, Maxine Bucarelli, Melissa Smith, Michael Dietrich, Murray Perloff, Nancy Shallett, Norman Rosenblatt, Pat Fisher, Patty Savage, Paul Gravoff, Philip Kaufman, Phyllis Mix, Piper Lyman, Ralph DeStito, Ray Clark, Richard Barker, Rick Hack, Robert Corby, Roberto Maybisher, Sarah Berry, Scott Dobo, Shelley Bitter, Sherry Rosenblum, Steve Despens, Susan Levy, Dr. Tim Mooney, Tom Wisnowski, Valerie Zimmerman, Vicki Reynolds, Yarden Meir Ben Yitzhak Melech. We all join together in the middle of page 253 with a prayer for healing. If there's anyone who you would like to remember at this time, feel free to speak their names out loud. Okay, thank you. We join together in a prayer for healing.
Avotenu mekor Abraham leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mikor kabraka leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Now you may put your prayer books away for a few moments as we invite Max Ruth up to give us some words of wisdom.
Hello, good evening and good Shabbos. So to those of you who don't know me, my name is Max Ruth. My family has been at TKE for about 9 years. When I was in high school, I was in Madrid at the Sunday school. I was involved in the high school age youth group, Kefti. Currently, I'm a student at Yeshiva University, and I plan on becoming a rabbi. Thank you, Rachel, for inviting me to do the Devar Torah this week and giving me a chance to get some practice in. This week's Torah Parsha is Chukat. It tells the story of when the Israelites were in the desert and they needed water. So God tells Moses to speak to a rock and water will flow from it. Instead, caught up in his frustration with the Israelites kvetching, Moses strikes the rock instead. He disobeys God's word and was punished by not being allowed to enter the land of Israel. Additionally, Moses' brother Aaron was punished as well. He was also not allowed to enter the land of Israel. But why was Aaron punished? He did nothing. But that's exactly the point. He did nothing. Aaron was the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. He of all people should have done something but talked to Moses when he struck the rock instead of speaking to it. But he did nothing. The point of this section of the Parsha is to teach us that by standing by and doing nothing while injustice is being committed, you are just as guilty as if you were the one who did something wrong. If you see something wrong with the world around you, you can't just sit back and let it happen. You have to do your part to fight against injustice and make the world a better place. In recent times, many different groups of people have been facing injustice. Most recently, millions of women across the country have faced a great injustice. The overturning of Roe v. Wade not only takes away women's freedom of bodily autonomy, but it goes directly against the teachings of the Talmud in regards to abortion. This is both a women's rights issue and a religious freedom issue. As the story of Moses striking the rock in Parsha Chukat teaches us, now is not the time to be silent. Now is the time to speak up and fight the injustice you see in the world. Thank you again, Rachel, for giving me the opportunity to deliver a Devar Torah to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and good Shabbos.
Important words. Thank you very much for sharing those with us, Max. And we look forward to more from you in the future. Anytime you're back in town, we're happy to have you here. So we will continue with the concluding blessings of our service. We're on page 282 with Aleinu. For those of you who are new, I always like to point this out. Aleinu in this particular prayer book is set up kind of like a buffet, and everybody gets to kind of pick whichever buckets they want. So if you're on 282, our congregation will be doing the second version of the first paragraph of Aleinu that you find at the bottom of 282. Do we have time to do the long one? We have time to do the long one. So then we're going to go to the top of page 284 with the Shehunote Shemayim, and then we will end in the middle of 287 with the B'nai Amar, which is the statement, sort of the messianic vision of one day, by Yom HaHu, In one day, everyone, all nations will come together to see the one spirit in the world and to come together in peace. So please rise for Aleinu. We'll start on 282 and we get to do the long version.
It's good to be the rabbi, isn't it?
It's good to be the rabbi.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, atekedu la'liotzer bereshit, shelo asan negarye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam kelkenu kachem, vigor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, Umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malkei hamlakim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yosei haaretz, umoshe v'karo b'shamayim mima'al, ushvinatu zo, Begav emeromim, U Eloheinu einod, Emet malkeinu efetzulato, Kakatu betorato, V'yadat adayom ve'ashivota elevaveka, Yi Adonai hua Elohim, Vashamayim mima'al, mi'al ha'aretz, mi'itachat ein od. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol ha'aretz, bayom ha'hu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad.
You may be seated. We come now to the time in our service where we remember those who are no longer with us. I had it's not exactly the pleasure, the honor perhaps, to help a family this week with a Shiva, and it always reminds me, I always remember just how incredibly important it is to come together as a community when we come to remember those who are no longer with us. This prayer, the Mourner's Kaddish, has to be said in a community. Of course, if you're in a remote location or feel like you can't come in, you can say it on your own, but it is so much more powerful to say amongst friends, amongst family, and amongst a community. So at the bottom of page 293, we read together, Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. And for this Shabbat in our community, we are remembering those who have passed at this time in years past. We remember Albert Ackerstein, Harold Benowitz, Jerry Benowitz, Rita Berger, Harriet Littman Cohen, Wayne Coker, Judy De La Fuente, Jerry, Aaron Freund, Emma Feit, Ralph Friedlander, Elise Ireland, Janet Katz, Miriam Lieblin, Oscar Lieberman, Robert Lynn, Rosalie Marks, Henry Melnick, Hyman Migdal, Albert Rasnick, Ruth Roseman, Mayor Salisbury, Dorothy Silver, Edward Silver. And we're also remembering those who passed in recent days and months. Gary Landau, Julie Diamond, Jay Piesick, Bart Allen Siegel, Ross Capstein, Morris Almaleh, Edith Ridner, Victoria Levy Stoltzberg, Yuda Fadlin, Margaret Meehan, Irvin Wilson, Beverly Samuels, Richard Pinkert, Mimi Poland Ferraro, Tanya Milstein Palmer, Gladys Mannheim, Doris Turkle, Stanley Goldberg, Fred Harrington, Lucille Cohen, Ben Rothfeder, Harriet Daniels, Joseph Goldman, Cecile Wolford Godelski, Barbara Markowitz, Hal Lieberman, Michael Cohen, Fred Fine, Stacy Hill, Robert Weiss, Donnie Price, Harry Mix, Marvin Abish, Don Landberg, Stuart DeVoskin, Mel Gordon, and in recent months, Mark Stiller, Howie Levner, and Jack Zabar. We now rise as a community as we recite together the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 294. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'amad Tivra Kirutei Bi'amlich Malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah v'barach li'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabat v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei Kedusha b'richu. Le'olam nimkol birchata v'shirata. Tushvachata v'nechamata. Da'minran v'yama v'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. Let us say Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. Well, I happen to know there's at least one person who has sat through this entire service waiting for this moment, because this is the time when we get to celebrate our July birthdays. So if your birthday is in July and you would like to come forward, please feel free to do so, because you get a treat. My birthday is not in July, but I have a very soft spot in my heart for July birthdays, as that is my son's birthday as well, but he didn't come, so he doesn't get the 28th. He doesn't get a treat. So here's a for our birthdays. Do you want to introduce yourself, say your name and how old you are?
Hello, my name is Peyton Harris, and I am 8 years old.
And even better, when is your birthday?
July 8th,
Which is?
today.
Deborah Brenner, our birthday is July 20th.
Yay! And happy birthday and a nice song.
Yom Haledet Sameach, Yom Haledet Sameach, Yom Haledet Sameach, Yom Haledet Sameach.
And may you have a wonderful day tomorrow at your party. Yes? Yes. Enjoy. Congratulations. Okay, and just a few announcements before we get to abscond to the next room for a little nosh. There are many opportunities to get together with your TKE community next weekend. It's a busy one, so pick some activity. Something has to appeal. We have TKE truckers who are hiking next Saturday nearby at Hyde Farm Park. We have the TKE book discussion group who is discussing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the film club who is reviewing several movies at 7. So make sure to maybe pick one of those things. And then, have Have you ever wondered about the allure of Mahjong? As someone who has played maybe 3 games in my entire life, I'm beginning to see its appeal. If you would like to learn how to play Maj, WRJ is bringing back free Mahjong classes starting on Sunday, July 24th. It's a great time. Come in the morning for a couple of hours, learn the game, meet some people, and then we will find an opportunity to play ongoing through the year. More information can be found about all of these activities on the TKE website. So I do want to give a, yes, bring your books back at the end, I got it. A Yasha Koach and a thank you to Max for preparing some words of wisdom. Of course, yes, it is important for all of us to stand up in some way to remember that that good deed, whether we see its fruition or not, is still vital and important for us to do. So find something small or large this week. Think about how you can make an impact. Drop that pebble and let those ripples flow. So we come together for Kiddush and Motzi. Kiddush first. Kiddush first, right?
Kiddush first.
Kiddush first. Please rise, right?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Amotzi lechem
Kids,
min
come on up for Chava.
haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
The rest of us will get challah in just a few moments. Have a seat as we sing our closing song, Look for the Good, which is a great idea for today. There's good out there, we just have to find it.
Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. People done gone crazy. People done gone mad. People done forgot the superpowers we all have. We were born to love, not hate. We can decide our fate. And look for the good in everyone and celebrate all our mistakes. If there's a silver lining, you still have to find it, find it, find it. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone needs sunshine. Everyone needs rain. Everyone is carrying around some kind of pain. I see who you are. You're just like me. I see you're searching for a purpose, guided by a dream. I see who you are. I'm just like you. I get lost sometimes and I forget what I came here to do. I keep on trying when it gets frightening. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone is nature. Everyone is God. Everyone is love and light and a vibration. Look for the good. Look for the good. Everyone gets mad sometimes, and maybe they should. Look for the good. Look for the good. Yeah, look out for all the heroes in your neighborhood. Look for the good. Look for the good. Life would sure be sweeter if everybody would look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone.
Thank you very much, Blake, for joining us, and all of you. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful week. And join us next door for a little bit of nosh. And thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat.